Skirte, here we are. We're going live again from Rainbow Reef. I hope everybody can hear us okay out there. Yes, it's true. Last time we had a couple of technical issues, which made it a little difficult to hear, but hopefully we've ironed those out. I personally am not an ironer myself, but we have someone in the background that has been ironing for the last 45 minutes to try to make sure that this works for us today. So hopefully we'll have an intriguing session today. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to get some questions. We want to interact with you. We want to see how you're doing. If nothing else, we're not watching Netflix or playing a video game. We're live. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our three panelists, as well as myself. Hello, I'm Ross again. We've got David, way from the blazing north, who's down here to be a wonder instructor. Hi there, David. Tell us a little
Hey, how
something
you
about
doing?
yourself.
Well, I am from
Good.
New York, which you mentioned, and I am here to teach scuba diving and take people on dives and make sure everyone has a good time.
Excellent. That's almost like a cocktail for pleasure cruise down here in Key Largo, huh? We also have lovely
Exactly.
Erica, our lady of the curls. Tell us a little bit something about yourself there.
Hi, 21. I am from North Carolina, Morehead City on the coast, and I've come down here to pretty much learn how to be an instructor and refine my scuba diving skills. So I'm an intern. I forgot to mention that, but
An intern in our last session who told us a little bit about the internship. So we're going to be asking you a little bit more about how your experience is, and it doesn't matter how old you are, by the way. Now we have Orlando, who's going to wow us with some Harley Davidson and some talk.
Hello guys, my name is Orlando. I'm from Cuba and I'm one of the guys who work at Rainbow Reef retail store and just be here for any questions that you guys have regarding scuba gear and give you a little bit of my experience over this while time of diving.
There you go. Thank you, Orlando. So let's just dive right in, shall we? So our first question comes to us about the advanced course. The question is, what does the advanced course actually entail? Is there an exam? Is it like a whole lot of really hard reading work? David, why don't you tell us a little bit about something of that?
Sure. So, the Advanced Open Water course is a great opportunity for you to refine your skills, sort of as Erica was saying, and I'm going to throw this to her in a couple of minutes. But basically, you, through a couple of quick online modules with some quick knowledge reviews after each module, you learn about thinking like a diver, so you're more self-aware. We take you on a deep dive and show you some really cool stuff about how the pressure is affecting. We'll take a balloon down, for example, and sort of show you how the colors are being absorbed. Excuse me. You'll learn about navigation. You'll learn about improving your buoyancy through peak performance buoyancy. And then you'll choose a couple of other things. Maybe you'll go on a night dive or a wreck dive, and each one has a very short knowledge section and knowledge review. And at the end of it, hopefully you feel like you're a more confident diver and you have a broader range of experience. Erica has been through most of the course, so maybe she can talk a little bit about it from the student perspective. Excuse me.
Let's get over to Erica while David coughs in his elbow. It's something that we're learning.
so I am right in the middle of the advanced open water course. In advanced, you have to learn a navigation and a deep dive section. I have not done the deep dive section. I have done the navigation, and then you get to choose a few other specialties. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I did do peak performance buoyancy the other day, and that helped a lot. But it's not too much reading. Honestly, there is a online program, and it makes it all very easy. And you can do it fairly quickly. Anyone can do it, really. It's got videos. It makes it very easy to learn.
Excellent. Now, you mentioned something about peak performance buoyancy. And I know that that was a lot of fun because I know someone who happened to have been there. Can you tell me what do you think is one of the best pieces of gear that might help you with that peak buoyancy?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You broke up.
Oh, I haven't broken up with anyone in years. So we were talking about specialty. And the fact that you did one of the adventure dives as the peak performance buoyancy, knowing, of course, that the advanced is two mandatory dives, navigation, and D, three adventure dives. So you chose to do peak performance buoyancy to work on your buoyancy. And what I was asking you first, and then we'll skirt over to Orlando. What do you think is one of the best pieces of gear that you can use when working on your peak performance buoyancy?
Okay. Well, actually, just about everything um, helps make you buoyant or lack thereof. I've learned that a wetsuit has the power to do that. So always try and dive with the same wetsuit so you know what weight to use. But the main thing I would think would be your BCD, which is your inflation device, and that helps you float.
Well, as Erica mentioned before, yeah, every piece of gear help you with your buoyancy on the water, but the main one who help you actually control that is your BCD, your buoyancy control device. There are two main type of those. The ones who are like jacket style, or people say traditional, or the back inflation ones that all the inflation is only on your back.
See, so happened to be in the dive store, and I was able to get myself into one of these cool. So when you come down, you can talk to Orlando yourself, and he can help fit you out with your very own best fitting BC. By the way, I see a note here to say hi to Jamie and Nate. Jamie, Nate, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. So speaking about BCs and gear, we had a very interesting question, and I think this actually is very fitting, especially in our neck of the woods. To rent or to own gear? What is the best?
Okay, when you own your dive gear, you always will dive with the same. So that will help you to improve your skills on the water. And it's like, when you go and rent in every dive shop you wear, you will dive with a different BCD that you have to like get used to it for the first 20, 25 minutes of your dive. So always you are going to be changing. When you own um, your BCD, you already know it. You already know every single action that that BCD will do when it gets into the water. So you dive more comfortable and you enjoy more that time on the water. So I definitely recommending owning your own that gear, especially your BCD.
All right, there's opinion number one. Do we have somebody on the other side that thinks that they prefer to travel and rent their gear?
I mean, to me, it's just a question of how committed are you to diving. I think that if you might dive, I don't know, once every 2 years for a couple of dives, you're not, super committed to diving, and maybe it makes sense to rent in that situation. When before I went professional, I, usually would try to dive on vacation from New York, maybe once a year for a week, and that was more than enough for me to buy my own gear. I really felt like I wanted to be able to go right in and be comfortable in my gear, but I can imagine that if it was a lot less than that, I don't know. But to me, the benefits of knowing your gear and feeling comfortable with it it adds a whole level of pleasure to your dive, as Orlando was saying.
All right. So here's a question to those of you out there watching and listening. please type us, do you rent or do you buy your gear? And if you have a BC, is it a back inflate or a full inflate? We're going to open this up for a little while. As a matter of fact, we'll probably come back to this question when we get a little bit more information, because these are some really cool topics that we're talking about right now. Another topic that I'd like to talk about, especially since we're in the time of scuba snacks, which means that every time that we go online and we go through Facebook, we scroll through, there are all kinds of information, and then suddenly we see a picture of a turtle, and we stop, and we look at it, and we remember the turtles and the sharks and the rays that we've seen. What I'd like to know is, from our panel first, and then perhaps from you, where is your favorite dive site here in the Keys? David.
I can't say that I have a favorite site, partly because every time I go into the water, it's a little bit different, whether it's the same site or a different site, and you never know what you're going to see. I will say that as exciting and awesome as it is to see turtles and rays and all of that stuff, I would hope that people also look at some of the smaller stuff. And I was on a dive a couple weeks ago and saw a juvenile, which is a nerdy diver term for baby, queen angelfish, which was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And that was just random. It wasn't because of that one dive site. I could go back the next day and it might not, I might not find it again, but you never know what you're going to see on any dive site. So I'm going to avoid that question and just say any dive is awesome.
All right, I'll buy that. I have been known to stand in the shower with my snorkel and my mask. The problem is my snorkel free floats. Erica, what would you say is your favorite dive site so far?
So far, now I've only been here a short while and I haven't actually done any of the deep dives yet. But so far, I would definitely say I enjoyed the Benwood or parts of Molasses Creek or Reef. I don't know why I said that. But nice thing is no two dives are ever the same. Honestly, you can go anywhere and see something no one else will see. The last dive I went on, there was a change of plans. We were supposed to go, I can't remember where we were supposed to go, but we wound up going somewhere different, and I saw a lot of cool things that most likely I would not have seen in the other area. And that was actually Molasses Reef. So.
Well, there you go. It certainly goes to the same thing that David was saying, which is pretty much every dive is a good dive. Now, Orlando, I know they don't let you out of the shop often, but when you do, and you're allowed to go underwater instead of when you're on two wheels, where would you say is your favorite dive?
Well, as you say before, I don't get to dive a lot, but so that makes every time I get to the water is really fine. But if I have to choose and have the option to choose, I will go to the Spiegel Grove, definitely. It's a deep dive, it's a wreck dive, it's a huge wreck. And for me, it's really pleasant to dive there and, have everything I want from a dive. And it's really exciting to get there and see that huge, massive wreck with a history behind. So I will go to the Spiegel Grove, definitely.
Cool. Yes, I must say we are all fond of the Spiegel here. She's a wonderful, wonderful wreck, and there's always something new on her every time. Interestingly enough, we've just heard back from several of you, and it looks like the back inflated BC is thus far for the likes, shall we say, on what type of BC. And it's interesting to point that out because the BC is all about your position, right? So a back inflated is going to put you in that kind of position, which though may not be comfortable at the very surface, which is a little bit easier with a jacket, maybe if you're teaching, but the back inflated is going to get you in this pitch position, which is going to let you see all those wonderful things on the reef and on the Spiegel Grove. So thank you for chiming in. One more question for you. We know that there are several of you that are instructors, maybe course directors, maybe some of you haven't even been certified yet. So we've got, like I said, our very own Erica, the lady of the curls, with us, who is here doing an internship. And I'd like to know from her, what was her reason for choosing Rainbow?
Um, Honestly, I started diving 2 years ago, but I've only dove a few times, and I've always loved the water. And I came down here, and I had met so many people who gave Rainbow Reef really good reviews. So I decided to stop and talk to them, and the people were very nice. Um, Honestly, the internship, it is hard work, but it sounded really, really cool. And, I went home, I didn't jump on it. I went home, thought about it, did some research, and even people at home back in North Carolina knew about Rainbow Reef and how great they were. Um, so I called somebody down here, applied, and I got the internship. And honestly, it's a great next step. I love it. It's very adventurous. Um, it's just not your typical next step.
Wonderful. Next step. That's a wonderful way of putting it. David, in your opinion, what do you think would be a next step, say, for somebody, a rescue diver looking to do something else?
Well, first of all, I would say that even if you're not looking to go into diving necessarily as a profession, I would highly recommend Rescue Diver. It's actually the favorite class that I've taken. I really was very proud of myself when I got out of it because it challenged me and taught me skills that I did not yet have as a diver. But if you are interested in going a little bit further, you definitely can become a dive master and an instructor, both of which allow you to work in the profession. And it's actually, both of those courses are a lot of fun too. I've met people on our boats who are non-working dive masters. I would rather be a working dive master, but people sort of enjoy the course. And certainly going through, if you would like to teach, which is really the difference between dive master and instructor, is one, you're guiding people and helping instructors and watching over people, whereas as an instructor you're actually teaching the content directly as well. If you're interested in teaching and you love diving, what better thing is there in the world than to combine those two and to teach diving? So it would be a next step.
Absolutely. Absolutely, David. I have to say, one of my favorite things about watching new young instructors go out into the world is that at some point they had the idea of the wonder and joy of lifting up ocean line that they saw and peeking underneath to see what was underneath that water. And they went and they found an instructor to teach them how to dive. And now they get to go forth and teach other people how to dive and bring their dreams to them. So it's a wonderful, amazing thing. I have to. It looks like I have a Bean Jones, Teresa, and yes, Ryan to say hello to. So I'd like to say hi to you guys. It's always fun to interact with you. Hey, question to you guys. What was your favorite course? We found out from David that his was the rescue course, which I have to admit is when I ask people. But those of you who have taken a rescue or higher course, what has been your favorite course? So while we go back to Orlando, please type in your answers so we can get to you. Now, Orlando, I've got some interesting toys here in the shop that I would think about on a beach. What can you tell me about it? It's pretty cool.
Well, that's the underwater propulsion vehicles. That's my favorite. I get to using every time I go diving because definitely that is it's a nice tool that you can have. For example, you save more air, you get to see more stuff. Your dive become more pleasant because the current is not involved. It's like doing a drift dive. The course is really simple. Only takes a day to do the course to dive with an instructor. and you'll be a diver propulsion vehicle certified diver. And for me, it's nothing more fun to get one of those and travel around the reef. Actually, we have some videos around that in our social media.
I see. So the lazy sport made even lazier. I like
Yeah, you got it.
it. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's one of those things that you can actually link to the advanced open water course. You can link it to all kinds of things. Like you said, you can actually do it in a two specialty in one day with an instructor. So there are a veritable plethora of specialties that we can do here and make your trips down here more worthwhile. Don't just count your dives, make your dives count. So, if there's anything else that you'd like us to talk about while you are at home with your Netflix, with your video games, and you're making sure that everybody is being as safe as possible, please send in your ideas, send in your thoughts. We'd be more than happy to talk about them. Um, Lighter issues, even some issues on should we have our own gear for diving versus our own gear for teaching diving. That's a nice topic that's going to be covered during your IDC if you haven't already taken it. And maybe those of you out there that are instructors will have your own opinions on them as well. We'd like to share those with you. I also like to encourage everybody to follow us on the Rainbow Reef IDC site because we do have some breaking news and ways that we're actually going to be doing some distance learning during our IDC. So that is going to be coming with more information later. For a final salute, I would like to ask all of our hosts, or all of our guests rather, David and Our Lady of the Curls, Erica in Orlando, to leave us with one final parting thought. David?
Yeah, as long as you happen to be standing where you are, I should just like to point out that Orlando sold me the green preen wetsuit, which you're looking at if you're looking at Ross right behind him. It is a completely eco-friendly I've ever put on. It is easy to put on and take off. It keeps me warmer than it really should at 3 minutes. I've had a number of wetsuits over many, many years of diving, and I have never loved a wetsuit as much as this one. And if you watch Henderson's video on it, you can find out why it's so eco-friendly and why it's so much better than neoprene. So salute to Orlando for putting me onto that, because that has just been awesome.
That's, oh, excuse me. I'm loving the wetsuit too. Yes, it's great.
It's the best. It's the best I've
Wonderful.
ever worn, bar none. I've never been so happy with a wetsuit.
It's like you're not wearing anything when you're underwater, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's even better because it's soft. It's soft and cuddly.
I know, kind of like me. Anyway, Orlando, do you have anything to add to your green neoprene that David likes to get into?
Well, believe it or not, that wetsuit did everything that the manufacturers tell us that we'll do. We are getting a great feedback from customers. The wetsuit is comfortable, is warmer, is reliable, and we are almost getting out of stock in that wetsuit, and we have it available on our website. So if you have any questions that we can answer for you, or anything that we can do from the business point to help you, if you have any questions about the website, please let us know through Facebook, through web page, to our online store. We are there 24/7 available for you guys.
What is the URL for that website for our gear, Orlando?
Dive Gear Depot.
So www.divegeardepot with a T.com.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Now, before we go back to Our Lady of the Curls, we have had a very interesting question that I'd like to answer about the rescue course and if you can take it as an open water diver. The long version is yes. You can't finish it as an open water diver, but you can start it in the confined water or in a pool. You can start the course itself, so we could actually get you the code, so you could start the rescue course knowledge development. Then you can watch all the videos. then you can get into the pool. Either once you're down here with us, we're able to do that and get you into the pool as an open water diver still, and start working on all the skills. For those of you who are actually in landlocked, colder areas that have pools available to them that have dive shops, you can do that and do the portion of the rescue course that is all the skills in the pool. Then, before you can do these scenarios in the open water, you have to be certified as what's called an adventure diver. Now, we were talking about adventure or advanced diver with Erica earlier, advanced being the mandatory deep navigation, and then 3 adventure dives. Well, you would be certified then as an adventure diver before you could get in the open water to the actual 2 scenarios. We would do the adventure diver course. One of those 3 adventure dives would need to be the navigation, certify as an adventure diver on day 1, because that's 3 dives. Then on day 2, we put you back in the open water, do all of the skills in the open water, like a refresher of what you did in the pool, and then the 2 scenarios for the rescue, and then you could actually be certified as a rescue diver with the adventure diver. So I hope that helped. Now, let's go back to last word from Our Lady of the Curls.
I am fairly new to the sport. I haven't dove for so long. But honestly, just jump into it if you're interested in it. It's very rewarding.
I'd even go so far as to say, take that giant stride right into it. It's a lot of fun. On our next meeting, we will talk about, is it dove or is it dived? Perhaps it's divin. For now, stay healthy, stay 6 feet apart. Please keep us in your hearts. We're going to keep you in ours. And think of underwater joys all around. Scuba cookies for everybody.
Be safe, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming.